Welcome to The Explainer. If you've ever looked at a massive piece of software and wondered how on earth did they build that without it all falling apart, then you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're laying out the complete blueprint for software project management. And hey, if you're studying for an exam on this stuff, don't worry, we are going to cover everything you need to know in depth.
I love this quote from Eisenhower because it just hits the nail on the head. See, it's not about having some perfect, rigid plan set in stone. The real magic is in the process of planning, constantly adapting, thinking, and adjusting as you go.
So that's the big question, right? The answer is a whole discipline designed to bring order to that potential chaos. And that's what we're going to break down today. Let's start with the absolute basics.
Okay, before we can build anything, we need a solid foundation. So let's get on the same page and define exactly what we're talking about here.
First up, what even is a project? It's not just your day-to-day work. A project is like a special mission. It's temporary, it has a clear start and finish, and you've got a team, a budget, and a deadline to make something new and valuable happen. So, if the project is the mission, then project management is, well, it's the art and science of actually leading that mission to success. It's the whole toolkit of skills and techniques you use to make sure you get there. And narrowing it down for us today, we're talking about applying all of that specifically to the wild world of software. And that's a unique challenge, right? Because in software, things are always changing, always evolving. Now this is so important to get. Good project management isn't some magic wand that guarantees a win every time. But I'll tell you what, bad project management, that's pretty much a guaranteed recipe for disaster. It is absolutely non-negotiable.
All right, our foundation is set. Now it's time to actually draw up the blueprint. And at the heart of any project plan is this constant balancing act between three things that are always in tension with each other: scope, time, and cost.
This is the classic challenge every single project manager wakes up thinking about. It's so fundamental that it has a famous name, the Triple Constraint. Think of this like a triangle. On one corner, you have scope. That's all the stuff you have to do. The other two corners are time, your deadline, and cost, your budget. And here's the kicker. They are all connected. You can't touch one without affecting the others. So let's say your client suddenly wants to add a bunch of new features. That means the scope just got bigger. Well, something's got to give, right? You're either going to need more time or more money or both. The real skill of a project manager is making those trade-offs smartly, all while protecting the quality of the final product.
Now, in the software world, things change fast. A rigid, year-long plan can become obsolete in a month. So how do you stay flexible? The answer for most modern teams is Agile. It's a way of planning that's built for change. So instead of one giant plan, Agile breaks it down. You start with release planning, which is kind of looking at the big picture for the next few months. But then you zoom way in with iteration planning, where you only plan the detailed work for the next 2 to 4 weeks. Features get written as user stories from the customer's point of view, and developers then break those down into tasks they can grab. It's a brilliant cycle of planning, doing, and adapting. So we have our flexible blueprint. Great, now we need a roadmap. We need to visualize the journey from start to finish. And this is critical, prepare for all the unexpected bumps and detours along the way. To actually see the timeline, teams have been using a fantastic tool for over 100 years called a Gantt chart. It's basically the visual map of your entire project. What's so cool about a Gantt chart is that you can see, just at a glance, the whole timeline. You see every task, who's doing it, when it starts, when it ends, and, super importantly, how tasks overlap and depend on each other. It takes a complicated schedule and makes it really easy to understand. Okay, but a map is only good for the roads you know about, right? No project in history has ever gone exactly according to plan. Stuff happens, and that's why you have to be ready for it. This is where risk management becomes a project manager's superpower. This is a really key process to understand. It's a 4-step cycle that never really stops. First, you brainstorm and identify all the things that could go wrong. Then, you analyze them. How likely are they, and how bad would they be? Next, you make a plan for what you'll do about them. And finally, you keep your eyes open, constantly monitoring for those risks. And these risks aren't abstract, scary monsters. They're very real, very common things. A project risk, that could be your star developer quitting. A product risk, maybe you realize the project is way bigger than you thought. And a business risk, a competitor launches their product right before you do. See? Real-world stuff.
Okay, last but definitely not least, and maybe the most important part of all. A project isn't about charts and plans. It's about people. You can have the best blueprint in the world, but you're going nowhere without a great crew.
The project manager has to be a bit of a chameleon. They're the team's leader, keeping everyone motivated and pointing in the right direction. They're the liaison, the central hub of communication for everyone. And they're a mentor, helping the team grow and get past roadblocks.
But when you have a lot of smart, talented people on a project, how do you avoid confusion? How do you make sure everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing on any given task?
Well, high-performing teams use a brilliantly simple tool for this called a RACI matrix. It is one of the most effective ways to make sure everyone is on the same page about their roles and responsibilities.
Now this is gold, especially if you're studying this. RACI stands for R is for responsible. That's the person actually doing the work. A is for accountable. This is the one person whose neck is on the line. The buck stops with them. C is for consulted. These are the experts you ask for advice. And I is for informed. These are the people you just need to keep in the loop. Using this chart eliminates so much guesswork.
And there we have it. We started with the foundation, getting our terms straight. We built the blueprint, learning to balance scope, time, and cost. We drew our roadmap and planned for risks, and we assembled our crew, making sure everyone knows their role. You now have the complete high-level playbook. The only question left is, what are you going to build with it?